by Peter Yearsley. The People of the Abyss by Jack London. Chapter 16. Property versus Person. In a civilization frankly materialistic and based upon property, not soul, it is inevitable that property shall be exalted over soul, that crimes against property shall be considered far more serious than crimes against the person. To pound one's wife to a jelly and break a few of her ribs is a trivial offence, compared with sleeping out under the naked stars, because one has not the price of a doss. The lad who steals a few pears from a wealthy railway corporation is a greater menace to society than the young brute who commits an unprovoked assault upon an old man over 70 years of age, while the young girl who takes a lodging under the pretence that she has work commits so dangerous an offence that, were she not severely punished, she and her kind might bring the whole fabric of property clattering to the ground. Had she unholily tramped Piccadilly and the Strand after midnight, the police would not have interfered with her, and she would have been able to pay for her lodging. The following illustrative cases are culled from the police court reports for a single week. Witness Police Court. Before Aldermen Gossage and Neal. Thomas Lynch, charged with being drunk and disorderly and with assaulting a constable. Defendant rescued a woman from custody, kicked the constable and threw stones at him. Fined 3 shillings and 6pence for the first offence, and 10 shillings and costs for the assault. Glasgow Queen's Park Police Court. Before Bailey Norman Thompson, John Kane pleaded guilty to assaulting his wife. There were 5 previous convictions. Fined £2 2 shillings. Taunton County Petty Sessions. John Painter, a big burly fellow described as a labourer, charged with assaulting his wife. The woman received 2 severe black eyes, and her face was badly swollen. Fined £1 8 shillings including costs, and bound over to keep the peace. Widnes Police Court. Richard Bestwick and George Hunt, charged with trespassing in search of game. Hunt fined £1 and costs. Bestwick £2 and costs. In default, 1 month. Shaftesbury Police Court. Before the Mayor, Mr. A.T. Carpenter, Thomas Baker, charged with sleeping out 14 days. Glasgow Central Police Court. Before Bailey Dunlop, Edward Morrison, a lad, convicted of stealing 15 pears from a lorry at the railroad station. 7 days. Doncaster Borough Police Court. Before Alderman Clark and other magistrates, James McGowan, charged under the Poaching Prevention Act with being found in possession of poaching implements and a number of rabbits. Fined £2 and costs, or 1 month. Dunfermline Sheriff Court. Before Sheriff Gillespie, John Young, a pithead worker, pleaded guilty to assaulting Alexander Storer by beating him about the head and body with his fists, throwing him on the ground, and also striking him with a pit prop. Fined £1. Kirkcaldy Police Court. Before Bailey Dishart, Simon Walker pleaded guilty to assaulting a man by striking and knocking him down. It was an unprovoked assault, and the magistrate described the accused as a perfect danger to the community. Fined 30 shillings. Mansfield Police Court. Before the Mayor, Messrs. F. J. Turner, J. Whittaker, F. Tidsbury, E. Holmes, and Dr. R. Nesbitt. Joseph Jackson, charged with assaulting Charles Nunn. Without any provocation, defendant struck the complainant a violent blow in the face, knocking him down, and then kicked him on the side of the head. He was rendered unconscious, and he remained under medical treatment for a fortnight. Fined 21 shillings. Perth Sheriff Court. Before Sheriff Sim, David Mitchell, charged with poaching. There were 2 previous convictions, the last being 3 years ago. The sheriff was asked to deal leniently with Mitchell, who was 62 years of age, and who offered no resistance to the gamekeeper. 4 months. Dundee Sheriff Court. Before Honourable Sheriff Substitute R.C. Walker, John Murray, Donald Craig, and James Parks, charged with poaching. Craig and Parkes fined £1 each or 14 days. Murray, £5 or 1 month. Reading Borough Police Court. Before Messrs. W. B. Monk, F. B. Parfitt, H. M. Wallace and G. Gilligan. Alfred Masters, aged 16, charged with sleeping out on a waste piece of ground, and having no visible means of subsistence. 7 days. Salisbury City Petty Sessions. Before the Mayor, Messrs. C. Hoskins, G. Fulford, E. Alexander and W. Marlowe. James Moore, charged with stealing a pair of boots from outside a shop. 21 days. Horncastle Police Court. Before the Reverend W. F. Massingbird, the Reverend J. Graham, and Mr. N. Lucas Calcraft. George Brackenbury, a young labourer, convicted of what the magistrates characterised as an altogether unprovoked and brutal assault upon James Sergeant Foster, a man over 70 years of age. Fined £1 and 5 shillings and 6pence costs. Worksop Petty Sessions. Before Messrs. F. J. S. Foljam, R. Edison, and S. Smith, John Priestley, charged with assaulting the Reverend Leslie Graham. Defendant, who was drunk, was wheeling a perambulator and pushed it in front of a lorry, with the result that the perambulator was overturned and the baby in it thrown out. The lorry passed over the perambulator, but the baby was uninjured. Defendant then attacked the driver of the lorry and afterwards assaulted the complainant, who remonstrated with him upon his conduct. In consequence of the injuries defendant inflicted, complainant had to consult a doctor. Fined 40 shillings and costs. Rotherham West Riding Police Court. Before Messrs. C. Wright and G. Pugh and Colonel Stoddart, Benjamin Story, Thomas Brammer, and Samuel Wilcock, charged with poaching. 1 month each. Southampton County Police Court. Before Admiral J. C. Rowley, Mr. H. Calm Seymour, and other magistrates. Henry Thorrington, charged with sleeping out. 7 days. Eckington Police Court. Before Major L. B. Bowden, Messrs. R. Eyre, and H. A. Fowler, and Dr. Court. Joseph Watts, charged with stealing 9 ferns from a garden. 1 month. Ripley Petty Sessions. Before Messrs. J. B. Wheeler, W. D. Bembridge, and M. Hooper. Vincent Allen and George Hall, charged under the Poaching Prevention Act with being found in possession of a number of rabbits, and John Sparham, charged with aiding and abetting them. Hall and Sparham fined £1 17 shillings and 4pence, and Allen £2 17 shillings and 4pence, including costs. The former committed for 14 days, and the latter for 1 month, in default of payment. South Western Police Court, London. Before Mr. Rose. John Probyn, charged with doing grievous bodily harm to a constable. Prisoner had been kicking his wife, and also assaulting another woman who protested against his brutality. The constable tried to persuade him to go inside his house, but prisoner suddenly turned upon him, knocking him down by a blow on the face, kicking him as he lay on the ground, and attempting to strangle him. Finally the prisoner deliberately kicked the officer in a dangerous part, inflicting an injury which will keep him off duty for a long time to come. 6 weeks. Lambeth Police Court, London. Before Mr. Hopkins. Baby Stewart, aged 19, described as a chorus girl, charged with obtaining food and lodging to the value of 5 shillings by false pretences, and with intent to defraud Emma Brazier, complainant, lodging-house keeper of Atwell Road. Prisoner took apartments at her house on the representation that she was employed at the Crown Theatre. After prisoner had been in her house 2 or 3 days, Mrs. Brazier made inquiries, and finding the girl's story untrue, gave her into custody. Prisoner told the magistrates that she would have worked had she not had such bad health. 6 weeks hard labour. End of chapter 16.